Coruscant was burning. The great city planet had fallen into chaos as mysterious ships descended on the planet. Not even the Jedi Temple remained untouched. Palpatine looked around at all of the bodies of fallen Jedi. Their enemy had overwhelmed them. The Republic had fallen to an enemy nobody had seen coming. Palpatine snapped awake in a cold sweat. His vision of the Republic's fall was growing clearer each night. Now, up until this point in the story, we've talked about Palpatine's early life as a Jedi youngling and Padawan, so if you need to get caught up, go check out part 1. I'll link it in the description. Also, be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on this What If series. I really think it's going to be a great and unique story. So let's jump into part 2 and focus on the next phase of Palpatine's life as a Jedi. As a young Jedi Knight, Palpatine had grown powerful in the Force, but something that set him apart from other Jedi was his ability to see into the future. He was gifted with the ability to glimpse into the future through the Force. Now, in the original timeline, this foresight gave Palpatine an edge over the Jedi whose vision had become clouded by their arrogance and the dark side. His power of foresight allowed him to plan for nearly any contingency. But as a Jedi, this foresight presented visions of destruction that Palpatine could not quite understand. In addition to his reoccurring vision of the Republic's fall, he saw visions of a young boy, born without a father under twin suns, of a growing chaos, and also of the Sith. Palpatine did not understand what these visions meant. Perhaps this boy was a boy that needed to be found by the Jedi. But what about the chaos and the Sith? Was the Force warning him of a future threat? Was this boy the key to it all? His master Dooku would be no help in interpreting these visions. Dooku had recently become a recluse, always locked away in his private chambers. If he was not in his own chambers, he was leaving the Jedi Temple at night. Palpatine could not believe that the Council was virtually doing nothing to help Dooku, who was clearly in a dark place. Yoda had told him that the Force works in mysterious ways and that the Council trusted Master Dooku. Palpatine accepted this answer with outward diplomacy, but inside he knew Yoda was wrong. Dooku was troubled. Palpatine may have been worried about his master's well-being, but Dooku had never felt better. He had finally discovered his purpose, but it meant hiding most of his new life from the Jedi Order. Higo Damask had approached Dooku years ago with the idea that the Republic was failing. The failure of the Republic was something Dooku had been painfully aware of for years. The squabbling of the Senate, the spineless chancellors, above all, the arrogance of the Jedi Council. All of them had grown to believe they were invincible and that the galaxy was a better place simply because they existed. Dooku could see right through their facade though. For all their power, the Jedi did nothing to actually help the people of the galaxy. The time was finally arriving for Dooku to leave the Jedi Order. Damask had shared a grand plan to defeat the Jedi and remake the galaxy. It would require every ounce of Dooku's energy and commitment though, because Damask was more than just an influential man in the galaxy. He was the Sith Lord Darth Plagueis. Finally, one night, Dooku resolved to leave the temple and never return again, but on this night, Palpatine had also resolved to confront his master in hopes of helping him. Dooku left his quarters with only his lightsaber and a few holocrons. As he descended the great steps of the Jedi Temple entrance, he saw a figure standing at the bottom of the steps, his apprentice. Palpatine stepped toward Dooku and began to question where he was going. It was not accusatory like it would have been if any other Jedi questioned him. Palpatine was full of empathy. Dooku could tell that his former apprentice cared about his well-being. He was concerned for him. Perhaps if he had more time, Dooku would have liked to recruit Palpatine and bring him with, but he knew the young man was not ready to leave the Jedi Order yet. Dooku commanded Palpatine to step aside and let him go, but the stubborn Jedi refused. The empathy was fading and being replaced by a resolve to stop him from leaving. This was interesting, Dooku thought. He sensed fear in Palpatine, something that he had not sensed in the young man before. He decided to test Palpatine's loyalty to the Jedi. Dooku explained that he was leaving to join forces with a powerful ally. Together, he and this ally would spark the fire that would burn down the dead and corrupt Republic. As Dooku revealed his plans, he could sense that Palpatine's resolve to stop him was being replaced by curiosity. For a moment, it seemed that Palpatine was going to join him. But then, the steps lit up green as Palpatine ignited his lightsaber. With the confidence of a Jedi Master, Palpatine locked eyes with his former master and declared Dooku under arrest. An evil smile spread across Dooku's face. It was time to teach his Padawan one last lesson. Palpatine held his lightsaber firmly, took a deep breath, and calmed his racing mind. He knew he had been trained well, by Dooku, but this was his first real test. The clash of lightsabers filled the steps of the Jedi Temple as Dooku lunged forward with a calculated assault. Palpatine, quick on his feet, parried the blows with agility, his lightsaber dancing in the air. He relied on his training, focusing on his footwork and maintaining a strong defense. But with a swift motion, Dooku unleashed a series of lightning-fast strikes, forcing Palpatine to step back, barely avoiding the searing blade. Sensing an opportunity, Palpatine countered with a powerful swing, aiming to disarm his opponent, but Dooku skillfully deflected the attack and retaliated with a devastating force push, sending the young Jedi flying backward into the wall. Palpatine went shoulder first into this wall. He heard the deafening crack of his shoulder dislocating. He took a moment to collect himself, but then he quickly looked up, ready to stand and fight. But Dooku was gone. He had fled. Palpatine began to examine his shoulder as temple guards ran to investigate the scene of the fight. Palpatine was left to wonder where his master had gone and if he would ever see him again. Dooku knew that he should have killed Palpatine. He definitely did not need Darth Plagueis reminding him of his failure through Force lightning. Plagueis' torturous lessons subsided after a few minutes, but Dooku could feel that Plagueis' anger toward him had not subsided. It was foolish to leave someone alive who knew so much about Dooku and what he had been up to. Dooku dropped to the ground, yet he did not beg for forgiveness. Instead, he looked up at the Sith Lord and expressed his desire to lean fully into the dark side. It was time to move from being co-conspirators against the Republic to master and apprentice. If Dooku was to serve Plagueis without fail, he would need to become a Sith Lord. Of course, Plagueis knew this moment was coming, and with a sinister satisfaction, he simply told his new apprentice to rise and go. Dooku knew what this meant. Before this meeting, he and Plagueis had been discussing plans to recruit an army of invaders that could overthrow the Republic. Dooku had used the resources at the Jedi Temple to learn what he could of a mysterious species of aliens called the Grisks. Plagueis wanted him to go to the Outer Rim and find this conquering alien species. Now, that concludes part 2 of What If Palpatine Was a Jedi. Come back for part 3 because it's going to be intense. I hope that you have a great rest of your day, and may the Force be with you.